difficult to classify myself. It's fascinating at the moment, particularly because of some of the political debates going on there, some of which we will touch upon in a minute.
Cool.
There's a lot of Turkey is always a place with a lot of debates going on.
Hey, Dad.
In particular issues such as secularism, Islam, and
Don't look at me. I'm just testing the video camera in my mobile.
other issues like
Trust me.
minority rights, religious issues, and so forth. And Bromwell, I know you appeared
Amazing
before the
view.
UK's Treasury Select Committee recently, which is a gathering of MPs in the House of Parliament in Britain. When you were there, what sort of picture were you painting of the economic climate?
It wasn't a happy one. In fact, there were 4 of us giving evidence, and the other 3 had done it before. I hadn't. But they said they were the most challenging questions that they've had from the committee, and it is really the most difficult economic time that Britain has had for a very long time. Growth is collapsing. Just look at those Marks and Spencer's share prices, which dropped a third this week. I mean, that's a third. It's a huge amount. And, you know, of course, inflation's going up, food prices, oil, the same as everywhere else. But it is extremely difficult. So it wasn't a happy
So
time.
you weren't able to pass on any bright news at all?
Not really, no.
Disappointing. We will talk about the impact of the world recession, although inevitably some aspects of the industry are actually benefiting from the world recession, and we will focus on that a little bit later on in the programme. So plenty more to come from Paddy and from Bromwell. We start though this hour in Afghanistan. Billions of dollars in aid money have been wasted during the rebuilding of that country, and that's one of the problems that the United Nations say they are currently trying to tackle. At an international conference in Kabul later today, they'll be explaining just how they intend to stop aid money being siphoned off before it reaches its intended recipients. Well, Kai Haider is the UN's special envoy to the country. So what exactly is he proposing?
The aid that is provided by the international community is far from as effective as we want it to be. So what we have to look at is put in place mechanisms that can trace the money from the donor to the project, and to see to it that as little as possible is spent in the donor country, that as much as possible is being used to build Afghan capacity, and that as much as possible is aligned behind the strategy that the Afghans presented in Paris. That is the objective of it all. And now we are discussing what kind of mechanism do we put in place, also with regard to ensuring that we can combat corruption as much as possible, that the Afghans are accountable with regard to the money that they spend. And also for that we will see how we can put in place audit mechanisms that can contribute to this effect.
Let me talk specifically then about some of those mechanisms. How do you make sure, for example, that there is an effective crackdown on corruption?
This is what we're discussing with the President at the moment and his government. I must say he has been very forthcoming after the Paris conference. He now has a weekly meeting with key members of his cabinet, going through the Paris Declaration, and to see how they, on their side, can put in place the mechanism that we need. How will they look? Well, we're just a few weeks after the Paris conference, and certainly a government and the international community needs more time. But what we want to do today is to set the direction and make it clear that we need those mechanisms. We need governments also to respect the Paris Declaration, to follow the Afghan priorities, and also to ensure that they do spend their money more effectively. But you will understand that this process will take a little bit of time.
I do understand that, but obviously you will look back at what has gone wrong in order to put right the situation as it stands. Why, for example, do you believe there has not been adequate auditing and accountability so far?
I think there has been some auditing by the international community and also by the Afghans.
But not enough, you would have.
Not enough, and the mechanisms are not good enough. That's why we are seeing how can we also conduct joint auditing, the internationals and the Afghans together, in order to look at both how the international community spend money and how the Afghans do it. But I insist that the donor community should spend much more money through the Afghan budget. Now that presupposes that we have the firmly in place, so that those who provide the money, the taxpayers of our countries, can feel reassured that the money is well spent.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to get is why do you think things have gone wrong
camera
now?
you can do video.
I think one of the reasons is that there has been a
You can do video.
Check on it.
Make sure that money
Got it.
For how long it will take.
But it has the result that we
How many minutes it will take?
Now how can we make sure that we build the right capacity in Afghanistan to allow donor countries to spend the money here? It's a question of trust, and to establish that trust.
There's I see
That's the UN's special
I
envoy to
see
Afghanistan,
some
Kai
15 seconds.
take you to Turkey. About 70 Turkish women have protested in Istanbul after a court found a woman guilty of exhibitionism for fishing in what was termed improper clothing. Protesters marched across the iconic Galata Bridge, chanting slogans. The incident they were protesting about occurred last summer on the same bridge when men complained that the woman's clothing was improper. Last week, a judge upheld the men's complaint. Sika Mehta is one of the protesters
On
involved
my
in
right, I can almost see
No one
Trinity
saw her, so we
University.
don't know what she's wearing. But the point
Where's the
is,
Trinity
who
College?
cares? Actually, it's because conservatism. It's not because the Islamic State or something else, but the conservatism is rising very highly in Turkey since 2 years. So they are thinking that women have to stay at home, they don't have the right to go out, and they have to wear properly. And the question here is, what is proper? No one has the right to say us what to wear, what to do.
Well, it seems to be unclear what the woman was actually wearing. But Turkish newspapers quote court documents as saying she wore a lightweight outfit like a nightdress which blew up in the wind. In solidarity, many protesters wore strappy tops, flimsy sundresses with plunging necklines, or shorts. Rows of bemused fishermen watched the demonstration, but few seemed inclined to complain.
Gerek o andaki kıyafetiyle böyle bir amatörce balık tutmak isteyebilir.
This punishment is very unnecessary. She was just fishing, wearing what she wanted, so who cares? Immorality depends on traditions and
And
customs.
there's the lights
If
opening
something is
itself.
extremely revealing, that's wrong. Like someone wearing such a short skirt that you can see everything.
Here
To give
we
an
are.
expression in such a way that your eyes are instinctively drawn to it, then I think
That's his office. Cool. There's the AC over there. And there's this other room. Also nice. And there's a window over there. Hi. And when I go down one of my stairs, go down one of the stairs, there's some kind of meeting room or something. That must be the boss's desk. And there's some kitchen. My dad used it to make tea or something. I see a couch over there. And everything. That must be the printer room. And next door is some cafe. I went up someday, Dad and I might go there or something. If they're not any, they ain't got any cuisines with alcohol. Another office. Cool.